Hello. So today we're going to learn about the case statement. So the case statement is SQL's way of handling if-then logic or if-else logic. You've probably learned that in a programming language, and we can kind of use the same thing in SQL. So today we'll go straight to the examples. So it's going to be a lot easier to understand this way. So the table that we're going to work with would be Ben.college football players. And if I run this, I'm going to get a bunch of rows of a bunch of players. So each row is a player from a different school and their position. I'm not sure if you know anything about football, but I don't. So I don't know what these positions are, but I'm guessing they're sport positions. And then this is their height in inches, I believe. And then this is their weight in pounds. This is the year, like junior, sophomore, freshman, and stuff like that. Their hometown, their home state, I guess. But there's only one column that we care about today, which is the weight column. And the reason why we care about the weight column is because we are going to categorize them in terms of weight classes. All right, so let's talk about the case statement first. Usually in a case statement, it's followed by a pair of when and then statements. So for example, this would be a Boolean right here. So for example, when weight is bigger than 250, then we can say the column value would be very heavy, for example. After that, to finish the case clause, you're going to have to use the keyword end just to say that it is done. You can also use the else statement, which works the same way as a if-else statement in programming languages. It means it catches everything else. So let's call it not heavy. Okay. And then end. And then that is basically like a clause that you can use as a column. And then let's call this column weight class, for example. And let's just see if this works. Let's run the selected. All right, as you can see, we have a weight class here. It says not heavy. So for all of the players that are less than 250 pounds, it will be categorized as not heavy. Let's try to find one that is actually heavy. 250. Let's see. Nope, almost there. 248. Nope. Come on. Oh, 251. There we go. And then if you're over 250 pounds, we categorize you as very heavy. As you can see, pretty simple. It's literally just an if-else statement, and then the if-else statement depends on the other columns, right? And then you could create a new column using this case statement. All right, so let's do the same thing, but now we're gonna have better weight classes, something that makes more sense. We're gonna try to have heavyweight. We'll call it heavyweight instead. Heavyweight, and then we can add multiple of these when-then statements. It's kind of like if-else, right? Else-if. So you can add how many you want. So we can say when weight is larger than, let's say, 200, then we call this middleweight, let's say. So as you can see, the case statements, it will start from the first one. It sees if it's true. If it's not true, it'll go to the next one, right? But if it's true, it's gonna return whatever value that you assign it right away, right? So this is why I can do weight is larger than 200, because this actually means weight larger than 200, but not larger than 250. Because if it was larger than 250, we would have caught it by then. We would have caught it here and we would have caught it heavyweight. This is a cool trick. I mean, if you want to be extra safe, you can always do this, right? Oops. And you could add an and statement here, and then weight is smaller or equal to 250, but that is not necessary because you know that if it is larger than 250, it would have been already caught. Okay, so let's erase this and then let's continue. And then when, let's see, what is after middleweight? I think it's lightweight. So let's call lightweight 175. Then we'll call it lightweight. And then when we do else, that means everything that is 175 or under. And then we will call it featherweight. Yes, featherweight. Okay. And then we end this statement and then we call it weight class just like before. And I am going to format SQL to make it easier. As you can see, this whole thing just represents one new column called weight class. And then it depends on their weight. So let's run this again, see what happens. Aha, now you can see there are some people who are featherweight, lightweight, middleweight. Let's see what else, middleweight. There should be a few heavyweights. And then a bunch of heavyweights here, as you can see, these big boys. All right, awesome. So now that we have categorized them, if you're curious, you're like, well, I wonder how many people are in the heavyweight class versus middleweight class, etc., etc. Well, you can actually group by them also. So you could group by 1. It's a lot easier to write 1 because you cannot group by the column name that you just created because it doesn't know about it yet. So for example, if you run this, it's not going to work. But if you do 1, well, I mean, it's not working for another reason. Let's aggregate them by counting them. And then we'll call it as number of players. Yeah. So if we try to group by weight class, I'm not sure if this language works. Actually, it does work. Okay, well, some languages don't work, but for this one, I guess it works. So you could group by weight class. And then as you can see, there are actually a lot of heavyweight players. Not that bad. There are very few featherweight players. I'm featherweight, so I guess I can't play football. But yeah, so this is the case statement. Basically, it's the same as saying if else, but instead in SQL, it's when, and then you give it a Boolean, and then you give it the value that it will get assigned to if it satisfies the Boolean. All right, you can also do group by 1 if you want, and then you could combine it with like other columns. Let's say, yeah, let's group by school name also. So we got the weight class, and then we also have the school name, and then we'll group by 1 and 2. So that means I want to separate the weight classes of these players and their schools. So let's see. We could format this to make it look prettier. Okay, so as you can see, if we look at, let's order by school name so that we can see it more easily. Group by, oops. And you remember how to order by? You order by school name. I don't really care if it's ascending or descending because I just want them to be stuck together. And then I'll order by weight class. Great, as you can see, in this school, wow, they have a lot of featherweight players. So they have no players who are big. That might be an issue for them because you do need really big players for football. And then let's see another school, Air Force. They have a pretty good distribution, right? They have, most of them are middleweight, which makes sense. And then a quarter of them or something are heavyweight. They got some lightweight people, featherweight. Yeah, cool. And then Alabama, as you can see, none of their players are big. Only 3 of them are featherweight. They have a lot of middleweight, a lot of heavyweight players. So these guys are beasts. But anyways, so that's pretty much it for the case statement, and I'll see you in the next one.